Hello viewers, you join me in Los Angeles where I've been working for a few days. Among other things, I've been working on the documentary film The Truth About the Truth. I've already done a couple of videos about that on this channel, so please check them out if you're unfamiliar with the project. But suffice to say, it's a really exciting project and we've just done some fantastic work over the last couple of days, so well worth coming out here. But while I was here, I wanted to keep the YouTube content flowing as much as possible, and I wanted to talk about a subject that it's difficult, it's awkward. I want to talk kind of about death, but specifically about the afterlife, because I got into a conversation over a meal a couple of days back with a believing Christian, I think it's fair to say, who was talking about how the afterlife gave her comfort, and it gave her comfort to think that she could see her dead loved ones again. I think this individual believed that it would be in heaven, but the point was that she liked the idea. She derived comfort from knowing that her dead loved ones would be there waiting for her at some future point. And I have no problem with anyone thinking this or believing this, and if this describes your belief, then it's of no interest to me whether you believe it or don't believe it. But I thought it would just be interesting to share my perspective, because I was asked for my perspective at the dinner table and I gave it, and I thought it might make an interesting video. And what's interesting is that my perspective on the afterlife hasn't changed a great deal from when I was a Jehovah's Witness, because when I would go out preaching from door to door, especially after I lost my mother at the age of 21, she died of cancer, and whenever it would come up in conversation, this issue of the afterlife and the idea of the dead going to heaven and basically looking down on their loved ones from heaven, I used to say, well, that idea, if it were true, wouldn't give me any comfort in my situation, because my mother is not the sort of person, I think this applies to most mothers as well. My mother is not the sort of person who would like to be watching my life unfold with times of trauma and times of distress and times of misery along with the happy times. She wouldn't want to just be a spectator to all of that. I think that when you're a parent, you want to be involved and you want to come to the rescue. Your instinct is to come to the rescue if you see your child in distress. And so the thought of my mother floating around somewhere, or in whatever form you would care to describe, and witnessing me in times of distress without being able to do anything, that for me would be her idea of hell. And that same argument, I think, holds true for me now, and it's why even if I could bring myself to be religious, I would genuinely struggle with the concept of people dying and going to heaven and being cognizant of what's happening to their loved ones who are still alive. I think it would be distressing for them. And of course, if they are cognizant of what's going on but they just don't care, they've reached this point where it doesn't affect them, then I don't see how they could be the same person, because we are who we are because of who we love and who we care about. And this brings me to another interpretation of the afterlife, which is the Jehovah's Witness interpretation of the afterlife. Because of course Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that people die and go to heaven. They believe that people die basically into Jehovah's memory, so that in the future they will be resurrected, if they meet with God's approval, that is, into a paradise earth. So long as they've not consciously rejected Jehovah's Witnesses, they can look forward to having this resurrection. And the same problem arises there, especially when it comes to people who are resurrected with family members who don't make it. Family members who, like me, do reject Jehovah's Witnesses. So, for example, my mother, again, died when I was 21. She died as a Jehovah's Witness when I was still a Jehovah's Witness. And according to witness beliefs, she will be resurrected at some future point, expecting me to be there. And I'm not going to be there. And that will be distressing for her, or it should be distressing for her if she is the same person. If she isn't distressed by the fact that her son isn't joining her in paradise, one of only 2 children who meant the world to her, that would be hell for her. That would be seriously distressing. And again, if you're going to change things and say, well, she'll be a different person, so it won't matter to her that you're not there, because she'll be altered in some way so that it doesn't matter. Well, then if you're going to change that about her, you're going to basically make her not my mother, because we are who we care about. We are defined by our relationships, and we are defined by our memories, and we are defined by the people who we love and who we are close to. So that if you're going to say, well, your mother's not going to care about you when she's resurrected in the future, well, that's not my mother then, is it? That's not the same person. So that's basically where I stand on the afterlife. I think that all other arguments about religion and atheism aside, if I had to go back to being religious, I would genuinely struggle with this concept of people surviving death purely because it creates these scenarios where they basically have to reject their humanity by either witnessing their loved ones suffer and having no control over the situation, or being resurrected in the future into situations where their loved ones no longer matter or are no longer part of the picture. So that was basically all I wanted to share with you, just on a take it or leave it basis, maybe something for you to think about. By all means, leave your comments below if you have some thoughts on this, if it's something you've thought about, or if you have any kind of counter arguments to what I've said. I'd be fascinated to read them. But yeah, this is me signing off from here in Los Angeles. The weather hasn't been fantastic, to be honest, Javier. You could have arranged something a bit better. Not boiling hot by any means, but it's been nice to get a change of scenery and do some really quality work on the film that we're working on, which I really cannot wait to show you. But that's about it. I hope you found this video interesting. Please don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and as always, thank you for watching.